Hello, everybody, and welcome to my final big roster updates of NHL 22. Of course, these updates only for Xbox Series S and X. Unfortunately, again, no cross-plat with roster sharing this year. I will say for NHL 23, there's a chance I'll bring back the editing doc that kind of, is essentially a gigantic 200-page changelog by the end of the year. But as you would imagine, 200 pages worth of info means that, that adds dozens and dozens of hours to the work process by the end of the year. But hopefully, NHL 23, for all we know, it will have cross-plat for roster sharing. I hope. Please, please, please let that happen. But as we get into this, again, everything from the draft, free agency, all of the trades, that is all included here. A couple things to mention, though, before we get into the heavy-duty info here. Free agency, obviously, guys like Nazem Kadri haven't signed yet. We don't know what's up with Patrice Bergeron and so many others. As the big names sign, I will put out other updates. So while this is the last big one, there will still be other updates out once those big signings happen, and of course, as some retirements happen. And as well, the big news right now, as I'm recording this, Matthew Tkachuk confirmed he will not be back with Calgary. He won't sign long-term. He's heading into the last year of a deal that'll leave him, I believe, as an RFA at the end of it. So he is going to be traded sometime, potentially by the end of this week. So keep an eye out for other updates, but for now, that is where we're at. And the last thing to note is the draft information. Now, there is only one way to properly get someone like Slavkovsky onto the Montreal Canadiens out of the gates, and that is to recreate him as a custom player. But I didn't elect to do that. I think the first year of these prospects being in the right spot should be, it probably should be, and at least it will be for me with NHL 23. You'll see the likes of Shane Wright on the Seattle Kraken and so on and so forth. But overalls, potentials, X factors, all of that has been updated for these prospects pretty much all throughout the draft. Every prospect taken in the first round is in the game, so we're good to go on that front. But yeah, Shane Wright won't be on Seattle right out of the gates. With that, let's go ahead and go through this, because this will be one of the kind of bigger videos that I do here with these particular updates. Now, first and foremost, again, a reminder, there will be overalls, potentials, X factors, and all that shit that you very well may disagree with. And you know what? That's okay. But I promise you, I'm not changing it just because you complain about it or question it, okay? I'm not going to. It's just not going to happen. It's been the case all year. Call it arrogance if you want. Bottom line is, as I always say, there's no perfect way to do this. So I have my formula that I feel like makes the game the most fun for me. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it, man. It is what it is. And again, obviously, a lot of ratings, too, are based off of a 3-year scale. So John Gibson, you could argue, oh, chicken and the egg, is it because the team's bad? Whatever. Something like John Gibson might have a lower rating than you want. So on and so forth. But yeah, let's go ahead and scroll through this, because people have been asking for the attributes, so I figured why not for the final one. Let's go ahead and go through it. And again, a friendly reminder, the way that I base my ratings, and let's wait until we get a player here who's a little bit of a better example. Jamie Drysdale's a good example. You see the puck skills category. Every single player that I edit basically starts off with deking, hand-eye, and puck control at 99s. For the sole purpose of, as you can see there, none of those attributes weigh heavily with how this game plays or how rating is decided. The major one is passing. So same thing for passing, offensive awareness, shooting, defensive awareness, and body checking, I believe, is the other big one there. All of those start at 70, like a baseline level for what an NHL caliber player can have. And then those ratings will go up based off of primarily a more analytical perspective. But of course, I do look at like outright goals and stuff like that. Everything else, kind of starts off at a 99. Again, that is my way of making sure that the most highly prioritized attributes, according to the game itself, are at a rating that they should be. Again, I don't like having Connor McDavid with 90 defensive awareness to make sure he can be a 95 overall. And if I'm going to use that rating scale for him, I have to use it for everybody, and that is why you'll see things that way. as well. NHL 23, with the likes of truculence and stuff like that, I am going to look to kind of up the requirement, like the amount of hits on average in a season it takes for somebody to hit that, so we have less people with that particular X factor. And in general, too, I think a lot of people in this update as well, medium 9 potentials and lower for forwards, stuff like that, if they had X factors. I took it away. I wanted to experiment with it over the next 2 months or so until the new game comes out, and then we'll take it from there. So I think that pretty much details kind of everything that we have going on. I mean, again, we've done numerous of these update videos. Should note with the Ducks, there are some teams, of course, that simply don't have enough players signed or IRL are way under the cap right now, only a week into free agency. So you will see contracts like this. It doesn't matter because it's only for year one to boost up those teams currently so that they're not under the cap. Because if you load into a franchise mode with a team that's underneath the cap, it will auto resort the salary amounts to make the team cap compliant. So Silfverberg will jump up to like $6 million, and that's a problem because it's not just $6 million for the first year, it's $6 million for all 3 years of his contract. So that is where it gets to be a bit of a problem, and that is why for like this free agency update, I'm not allowed to just be like, okay, Ryan Strome on his new team and everything's fine. Yeah, that's not really how it works. Goodness, I just realized I'm going to have to scroll through the AHL as well, more than likely. And that's going to take a whole lot of time. Oh boy, this should be fun. Maybe this is one where we just put backing music on eventually, because how much do I really have to talk about? Because to be fair, a lot of what I would have to talk about, we already discussed on the likes of the podcast. Friendly reminder for those who are unaware, the Tougie's Take podcast, that can be listened to right here on YouTube. Just search for the podcast. It has its own channel. Or, of course, you can listen to it on any audio platform. Just search for the Tougie's Take podcast. And myself, my good friends, Sin for the Win. That's Sin for the Win Productions, CYNFTW Productions right here on YouTube. And Mr. Endo Mills. We talk about everything in the hockey world, going to a week-by-week basis here now through the rest of the off season. But yeah, we're actually going to be recording an episode right after I am done with this process. So we'll be able to talk a little bit more in depth about the whole Matthew Tkachuk saga, so on and so forth. So keep an eye out for that, of course, if you haven't been. And if you are someone who listens, then hey, thank you very much. And of course, there's the secondary channel as well. If you guys are wondering, like, hey, where's the franchise mode content on this main channel? No, I didn't stop. But again, a reminder, it has been moved over to my second channel, TWOGIE24. That is going to house all of my franchise mode content, not just NHL, but Madden's coming out within the next month. We're going to be all over that, just like we always are. And then, of course, NHL 23, FIFA, all of the good stuff will be over there. And, of course, this channel I still primarily have set up as, you know, the place for kind of retrospective stuff. Like, we have a video coming out about Gretzky 06 very, very soon. Heading into August, we'll be able to get back on track with at least one upload a week. But July has been a crazy, crazy, crazy month. And in general, the last month has been outrageous. Again, I'm about a month removed now, getting home from Finland. I was there for about a week. That was nuts. Of course, we do esports commentary for sportsgamer.gg, a Finnish-based company, you know, do the commentary alongside Sim. We both went over to Finland there. He stayed there for about a month, which was absolutely ridiculous. But, yeah, we've been doing esports commentary for my opinion, the top sixes league in the world, of course. It's unbelievable, of course, the caliber of play that they pull out there. But, yeah, all things considered, it's been an interesting time trying to readjust to being back home. It has been very, very, very weird. Shout out to the newest Bruin, Pavel Zacha, and I'll drop a hint about the podcast today. We're talking about how I think David Pastrnak is going to get traded for Matthew Tkachuk. Feel free to tune into the podcast for that one. I don't know. Just got a bad hunch. Also, as well, you will see prospects with 4-year deals because we have no other way to properly factor in the ELC slide, at least outside of franchise mode. So while it is there technically within franchise mode, I do believe, of course, but yeah, there's nothing we can do about it here. Boy, don't the Bruins need to fucking sign David Pastrnak and Patrice Bergeron. Oh my God. Absolutely brutal. It's all right. In Don we trust, right? Yeah, it's gonna be a real fun time. But yeah, a lot of these ratings, for the most part, wouldn't have changed. Some of like the X factors and stuff like that would, but again, I don't think I've really showed off the ratings too much. And a lot of people that aren't on this console have been asking for me to do that. Yeah, shout out to Olofsson, who gets $12 million to make the Sabres cap compliant. It's pretty ridiculous. Trying to make sure, of course, all the info is there for those contract extensions as well. But yeah, like I said, with my ratings this year, a lot of it was like, hey, let's view it that a 70 honestly isn't that bad, because it's not. You know, these aren't hot ratings, for God's sakes. They're franchise ratings. And yeah, I mean, again, if you have someone like Ilya Lyubushkin with absolutely no shot but an elite defensive defenseman, like, yeah, he can still be an 80 overall, and he's a hell of a lot more useful now to actually properly have great defense, instead of like, well, you can't make his defense that good, but then we got to bump up his offense, and it's just, it's a weird time, man. It's a weird time. Like I said, I know the ratings won't be for everybody. Eric Comrie, a lot of Sabres fans have high hopes for him after a good year last year. I don't know if I believe the hype on that one, but we shall see. And then, well, we talked about Matthew Tkachuk, and obviously Calgary has gotten pretty bad for you guys in the past little bit here. I said on Twitter about a week ago, when it was clear that Goodrow was hitting free agency, that fan base, that team in general, might regret losing that Battle of Alberta for a really long time. And yeah, me thinks they're going to regret losing that for a very long time. I don't think it was the worst decision in the world to go for it like they did. You know, heading into the season, we kind of knew, like, oh shit, Goodrow's deal's up. But I like the fact that they went for it and gave it an honest try. The problem is they just ran into Edmonton, and after that first game, I don't even know what the hell happened still. I watched every game of that series, every second of that series, because the Bruins didn't make round 2. Then again, Western Conference game, it wouldn't have mattered. But yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad right now. I should note someone like Sean Monahan might eventually be taken out. I mean, NHL 23 is more likely when that will happen. We don't really have confirmation that he'll be on LTIR for the entirety of next season. But if he ends up being, then yeah, that will very much be factored in to what we're doing here. Max Pacioretty being a Hurricane is a nightmare as a Bruins fan. It's an absolute nightmare. Like, the team already good enough to beat the Bruins. Yeah, they beat them in 7, but let's be honest, they should have won the series sooner than that. And now they add frickin' Max Pacioretty, and of course, as we'll see in a minute, Brent frickin' Burns. It's ridiculous. Carolina again. I respect it though. I respect the fact that they are still very much going for it. This defense on paper, though, it's interesting. May not be the strongest in the world. Of course, we do have Burns' salary, declined. I think it was Marc-Edouard Vlasic that kind of got the Burns retention, just because there was no one who actually lined up in terms of the contract years for Burns. But it's like, Vlasic should retire anyway. So only so much we can do, again, to properly replicate everything. But with that, I think I have pretty much covered everything and talked about everything that I can. The rest of this video is just going to be me quick scrolling through this. Shout out to Peter Mrazek and contract retention. I think he got the Duncan Keith recapture. So some of this is a bit ridiculous. But yeah, I think I've covered pretty much everything that I can think to talk about. So again, I look forward to the comments, whether or not they're positive, negative, or whatnot. Like I said, it's all well and good. It doesn't bother me, but I just felt the need to reiterate that. Oh my God, that's the worst rating of all time, which we're about to see in a second, because I know that just rattles people right there. And it should. And it should. He puts up points. Yep, and what else does he do? Stays pretty quiet aside from that, doesn't he? Bada boom! Suck it! Don't you defend Chicago. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. He's got 96 passing with beauty backhand. He puts up plenty of points in franchise. Shut it. Suck it. Nobody cares. God, Chicago has a lot of terrible contracts. That's what they have. But they're intentionally trying to suck. It's fine that we gave away Alex DeBrincat for fucking nothing. The 13th overall, but it wasn't nothing. It was this, and they got this in the 7th, and it's going to be fine. Sure. All right, well, there we go. Now that I've... oh, no, that's right. We had to show the Taves rating, too. I think people are less argumentative about the Taves rating. It's the Kane rating that really pisses people off. But, again, it's beautiful, and I love it, personally. Because, again, there's no personal opinion in these ratings. You take numbers, you apply it to at the end. Good day. Anyway, thank you again. And, yeah, for everybody that has supported us here, I thank you very much. And really quickly, let's go make it official, and then I'll come back over to Colorado and their defense. Let's make it official. The file name. Oh, boy. What is the file name going to be? Let's see. Roster sharing. Share your files. Share your files. Upload saved files. That's what we'll do. And then we'll hit new file. And it will be the old Tougie V7. It's like a new engine. You'll love to see it. And that will be draft free. I still don't think we're allowed to put free agency or commas in there. But the draft free agency update, upload to EA Sports World. And again, I will see you guys soon with some new franchise mode stuff. Reminder on that second channel, we have a Draft to Glory going right now. And very, very soon, based off of this roster, we will. God, that had 11,000 downloads, fuck's sake. We will have a new franchise mode up soon on the channel as well to go alongside that. And I think you guys are going to like it quite a bit.